chat box. My name is Sarah Braun. I'm the Director of Admissions here at University of Maine, Fort Kent, and we're very excited to have you join us. We are doing a Q&A and a quick overview of the criminal justice, con law enforcement, and public safety administration majors. We'll be talking about those majors and what it encompasses, what kind of experiences you'll have as a student. We have Ethan, who's a current senior, right, Ethan?
Yes.
And Alyssa, who's the class of, you said 2019, correct?
Correct.
And Marilyn Epp, who is a professor within the department. She's going to be giving a quick overview of what the major is and, you know, some good tidbits, and she could be your future professor someday. So Marilyn, I'll have you take it away, and just remember that you can put in your questions in the chat box whenever you feel, and I will read them to the panelists, and we'll be able to make sure that you get all your questions answered and you get a good feeling for what the major is like at all the majors within this department at UMFK.
Hi, everybody. Like Sarah said, I'm Marilyn Epp. I am the program coordinator of criminal justice, conservation law, and our public safety degrees, and I teach some classes for all three of those degrees. Just to provide a quick overview, I'm going to share my screen with a presentation for you all, just so we have a clear representation and we're all on the same page. So here we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
So here's the beautiful Fish River, which is right outside of our campus in the fall. It's not too shabby around here that time of year. So we have three majors that I'm highlighting today, one of which is the Associate of Arts with a concentration in criminal justice. That is a 2-year degree. We also have the Bachelor of Science in Conservation Law Enforcement and the Bachelor of Science in Public Safety Administration, and those are both 4-year degrees. Some of the classes in those three degree paths are, it's a mix depending on which degree you choose, but there's Principles of Investigation, Constitutional Law, Homeland Security, a lot of law enforcement centered classes for the strictly law enforcement degrees. And then of course, for conservation law enforcement, you'll have both the law enforcement concentration and a lot of wildlife and environmental courses, such as forest ecology, wildlife forensics, wilderness first aid is an option, search and rescue fundamentals. I'm very happy to report that we just hired a local Maine game warden to teach our search and rescue fundamentals. He's starting to teach that this spring, this coming spring in the classroom, and he has a big end of semester event where all the students are going to participate in finding someone lost in the wilderness. So it's pretty exciting. What we focus on in all of our degree programs are technical skills you can take with you. The bottom is a GIS mapping application image, which sounds scary, but both Alyssa and Ethan have taken GIS and they can tell you that it's not scary, it's a great skill, and you're going to use it in the field later on, depending on who you work for. We do have a good concentration of forensic science, not just the forensic science courses and wildlife forensics, but within several of our courses, we do crime scene processing, investigation, very hands-on skills that you will be able to literally walk out with your degree and apply on your job when you graduate. We have hands-on learning is part of what we really strive to do at University of Maine, Fort Kent. We're fortunate where we are because we're on the edge of the wilderness, and you'll see on the next couple slides some images of that. But one of our biologists, biology professors who works in the conservation law enforcement program does a deer collaring project. So that photo on the bottom right is a student out checking a deer that was collared and tracked. The bottom left is actually a crime scene that Ethan helped process last year out in the snow for a semester-long investigation that we kicked off in February. And there's various field exercises, especially in the conservation law enforcement program, because of its relationship with our forestry and environmental science courses and professors. It's, like I said before, it's pretty cool. We literally get to step outside, and actually our biologist said that quote, "Step outside and into the classroom," just a couple days ago, and I loved it. We have industry professionals who help us. We have, as you can see in the bottom center, a game warden working with us. The forestry program, which is can be within the conservation law enforcement program, has a lot of industry connections. Both Alyssa and I think Ethan have worked the moose check station every year with the biologists. It's just really great opportunities that I'm not from this area, but seem very unique to this area, and just invaluable experiences to take with you. We also have a camp out on the now near the Allagash in the Allagash Wilderness called the Elmer Violet Wilderness Camp. It's owned by the university. If COVID hadn't happened, we were going to be having our first conservation law enforcement long weekend there in September, but once COVID is done, we'll be back to using the wilderness camp. It has a classroom set up. It's truly in the middle of the wilderness. You're living off of propane for electricity, and it's like a 2-hour drive out into the woods, and you walk a little trek through the forest right to be on the river. So there's bunk rooms for everyone to stay in and a full kitchen, and it's pretty awesome. And these are just a smattering of the employment opportunities that you have available finishing one of these degrees, whether it's conservation law enforcement, public safety, which is basically a criminal justice degree, but it's the 4-year. The criminal justice is the 2-year, and the public safety is the 4-year. And this is not even close to the total number of employment opportunities available. Finishing at least definitely one of the 2 bachelor's degrees will open you up to all levels of law enforcement, whether it's state, local, or even federal. You will have the education experience necessary to apply to jobs at any level. So I will stop sharing my screen if I can figure out how to do that. There we go. And open up to, well, first, before we open up to questions, I would love to hear, I guess, Ethan's take first, because he's a senior currently, and then I'll ask Alyssa the same thing. I'd love to hear what your experiences are and share them with everyone as far as what you've learned and what you'll be taking with you.
Hi guys, my name is Ethan Jocks. I'm a senior here at the University of Fort Kent. Experiences that I have, I guess, invested into, dove into, there's really a wide range, a mix of law enforcement and wildlife classes, more specifically with conservation law enforcement. A lot of classes, they are hands-on, just as Marilyn said. A lot of crime scene investigations, interview techniques was one of my favorite, and definitely something you can take out into the field as a law enforcement officer. Coming into college, I had one focus, and that was being a game warden. And being here has really broadened my perspective of what opportunities are out there. I haven't been out there. I will be within the next year, but knowing how many different opportunities there are within law enforcement and even just wildlife jobs has really helped a lot. It's a big encouragement, specifically because a lot of these jobs are very competitive. And it's just encouraging to know how many different, how many roads you can take in your life. But I guess what I'll conclude is the experiences around the town here. It's not a big town, but there's a lot of opportunities within the town and even just within the university. I know Alyssa might talk about her ranger experience. in a second, but there's the town police that you can kind of get experience into as long as you're of age and everything. But yeah, I guess that will conclude my experiences at UMFK. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. I would like to add on just to clarify some of what Ethan was talking about. And since I've been here, I've had 2 different students who took the time to get their 200-hour class through the Maine State Law Enforcement Academy and have worked for the local PD while going to school. That's a great experience if you choose to go that route. And there's 2 different PDs within short distance for that opportunity to happen. Another student did an internship with Madawaska PD, which is just a short drive away, and now he's working for them. There's just a lot of really good experience available if you want it. It's right there. Also, and Alyssa's going to talk about this, so I thought I'd preempt it. We have the John L. Martin Scholarship opportunity. It's published, or it's available every year, every summer, and one student is selected. You apply, and it's a strange thing because sometimes several people apply and sometimes 2 people apply. But one student every summer is selected to go out to the Allagash Wilderness Waterway, which Alyssa will tell you about, and live there for, I think it's 6 weeks.
Yes.
And live and work, and you get paid. It's a paid internship, and you work for the Rangers, with the Rangers out there, and gain a ton of experience. And you get, I think it's $1,000 for your next school year if you get that scholarship. So I'll let Alyssa talk about that though.
Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa. I graduated from UMFK with a bachelor's in conservation law enforcement in May 2019. Before that, I had a criminal justice degree, and honestly, going to UMFK, I really liked the small town, being on the edge of the wilderness, as Ethan and Marilyn both alluded to. It really opens up a lot of doors for you being there, between, being able to have classes or bump into game wardens, forest rangers. You really start to build connections that you want, and you get to see a wide range of opportunities, what you can do with your degree. So that's what I really like. And you're more of a name rather than a number going to a school like this. Like, you get to know your professors, you get to know everyone that you're in class with, because it's small classes. So it really makes a big difference in your college experience, I guess I would say. Whereas when I went to a school before, you were just a number in a large classroom. So, and I also think you get a lot more out of it. So we talked about how it opens up other experiences. We talked about the moose check station. We got to check for winter tick and different blood samples to see if that was making a difference in the moose population. Also be able to go out and look for wood turtles that are tagged or deers that are collared. So there's a lot of times where you are stepping outside the classroom to get to learn things. And I was fortunate enough in 2018 to get the John L. Martin Scholarship. So I did work out on the Allagash Wilderness Waterway for, I think it's 6 weeks, I believe, maybe 8 in some cases, but usually 6. And I worked alongside the Rangers every single day, got to live in my own camp. Like Marilyn was saying, it's propane for electricity and stuff like that, but you definitely get a crash course of living in the wilderness. And then ultimately that internship, because I worked really hard and I loved being outdoors, it's 92 miles of just connected lakes and river, virtually untouched by man. It's as best you can get. It's beautiful. I ultimately became a park ranger when I graduated in the May of 2019 for the Allagash Wilderness Waterway, and I still am employed by them. It's seasonal, but I get to go back every year and do what I love. I get to work with a wide range of organizations, from the game wardens. I see them quite often, and they're always there for help and backup. And I also got to work with forest rangers a lot this summer, putting out small forest fires and stuff like that. So every day can be different. Usually you're just there for the paddlers, and you're there to just help them with whatever they want, do general maintenance, but every day is different. Get to see moose, loons, lynx, you name it. I've seen it out there. So it's nice to be able to work, live, and play and do what you love once you graduate. So that's pretty much everything.
I've got some questions for you and Ethan, Alyssa and Ethan. Well, Ethan, I'd love to hear what your plans are, if you have plans for what you'd like to go into after you graduate, because now we've heard what Alyssa is doing now. So recently after graduation, I'd love to hear if you have a plan, or if you're still figuring it out, or you're debating between one avenue or the other, because you were saying how many different avenues are available to you. I'd love to hear if you are debating between one or two.
So even when I came into the university, even now, it's still the same main goal would be becoming a Maine warden. It seems like the job that just fits me. It is very competitive, but that is still my main goal. I'm actually like in the application process right now. But if there were some backup plans, I would say, I know my hometown police department wants to hire me right off the bat. It's nice knowing you have like a guaranteed job after school. But I've also thought about, like such as Alyssa, like a ranger out in the Baxter State Park, which is in the middle of the state. Other than that, there was one Marilyn brought in. I can't remember his name. I think his name was Charlie from HSI. That job was very intriguing to me. It's Homeland Security Investigations, and that job was very intriguing to me. So that would probably be another opportunity that I would look at as well.
Now, being so close to the Canadian border and having that border customs patrol, that's a really interesting opportunity. Marilyn, do you know many students who go into border patrol after going to UMFK and majoring in con law or criminal justice?
I currently have, off the top of my head, I have at least half a dozen, if not closer to 10 students who are planning to go into either customs or border patrol, because they're separate. Sorry, you can be
I'm
a
learning
customs
too.
officer or a border patrol agent. So I have around 8 students currently that are pursuing that, and it's a really good, it's definitely a very good opportunity. Ethan was just talking about Chuck, who is an HSI agent in northern Maine. He's actually the Department of Homeland Security recruiter, and so like last year he came and spoke to our class. Obviously with COVID we're restricted right now, but he's recruiting at all times for not just HSI, but Border Patrol, CBP. CBP also has another recruiter locally in Van Buren that usually comes to visit, talks about the different options within Customs and Border Protection. DHS is almost always hiring, so it's a great, depending on which job you're going for, you may or may not need a 4-year degree. It's always beneficial because having a 4-year degree opens opportunities that you wouldn't have without one in the federal service. But those opportunities are always available. And I happen to know through the recruiters that there are always openings in Maine, especially if you like remote areas.
And from what I've understood of learning more about this major, that the game warden opportunities are also really opening up for this age group. So a lot of the game wardens are retiring in the next 2 to 5 years, which is when students like Ethan and maybe even our attendees are going to be graduating. So it'll be really a lucrative opportunity for them to just kind of get jobs because they're going to be looking for students. That's correct, right, Marilyn?
Absolutely. 2 different game wardens that have come and talked with me or the class or my classes have told me that in the next 2 to 5 year window, they're expecting a 50% turnover just because of the way the warden service is structured, and they're hiring waves as it happens. So within 2 to 5 years, half of the warden service, and I believe the warden service total number for the wardens themselves is something like 115, something around there. So half of those people will be retiring, and that will open up half of those slots. It's a great time to be going into that field if that's what you're interested in.
And I know you have many opportunities for mock trial kind of investigations. I'd love to hear more about your experiences as students, Ethan and Alyssa, if you had a chance to do that. I heard you go right from the investigating the crime scene all the way to a trial with a judge, or is that in the works for next semester, where they're going from investigation to all the way to the end of the investigation?
Ethan, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I guess I will. So the prerequisite class to that long semester case, I guess, I think is only interview techniques. So you have to take that class. And then when you get in the next semester directly after that is the case preparation and resolution course. That is, like, for my experience, we went out as a class. You saw a picture of it actually on Marilyn's slide. And we all went through the steps of securing a crime scene, doing the proper investigations, handling evidence, all that kind of stuff. And then, she helps us out a little bit. She gives us someone to start with talking to and interviewing. But after that, we get to go and dive into it ourselves. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we didn't quite do exactly what was planned, which was a little disappointing. But for future courses, that will definitely be the case, where they will go through the entire course as planned. Hopefully COVID doesn't arise again. But yeah, by the time I think I interviewed probably 20 something people for that whole investigation. And then, you're taking notes on them, you're writing reports, and by the end, you are supposed to be in a trial, which Robert Plord, who is the law professor on campus, it was a little intimidating, but he was supposed to really kind of destroy our arguments with the investigation, and I guarantee he would have. But yeah, so for future courses, Maryland plans on going through the entire case. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, that wasn't, we were not able to do that, but it was still a very good opportunity and experience.
The course Ethan's talking about as a prerequisite is interviewing, and then during that course you learn how to interview, and you do a small investigation. It lasts about a month, where it's an interview-based investigation where you track people down. You have to talk to one person, and they tell you the next person, and you have to try and figure out who. It's usually a theft, who committed the theft, and you have to actually go out, and it's people around the campus, and introduce yourself as a detective, and then the next semester kicks off with a crime. And in this case, it was a fairly violent murder. It was a stabbing. And so we processed that crime scene out of doors, and then they processed another scene in the dorm room. It was a student who had been slayed, and they processed his dorm room and found more evidence and had to go through phones, and they did a really good job. I was very impressed. They did great. So, and then if COVID had not happened, one of the local judges here at the district court has agreed to preside over our cases each time that class happens. So our law professor, as Ethan mentioned, Robert Plord he's an attorney, and so he's the defense attorney, and he's going to try and rake everyone over the coals, and the judge will preside. And that way students will have a fully immersive experience of what it's like to sit there on the stand and be questioned. Before this, I was in federal DEA, and it's just part of the job, and it's a very intimidating part until you do it. Once you do it, it takes away the mystery. So those kinds of skills I find very important to impart to the students who are going out into the world, so that they have a sense of confidence and competency that you might not get at another university where you just study theories.
These fictional crimes and this experience in the field before you're even a graduate is like you said, Marilyn, just so important to not only make you feel confident for the job after graduation, but also to make you feel like I could do this, or oh wait, I thought I liked this, but maybe I like this part more of the job. So I completely agree and support field experience and hands-on experience. I couldn't agree more how much it's an eye-opening experience of whether you actually want to do this job or maybe something else caught your eye. Alyssa, did you have any favorite hands-on experiences at UMFK?
So I took the wildlife track. So most of the hands-on experience I kind of mentioned before, but being at the moose check, being able to help with ongoing research that we really don't know what the winter tick does to the moose population quite yet, or isn't confirmed rather, we know it's an issue. And also being able to go out and track the collared deer as our professor did for a study was really interesting. Same with the turtles going down a Wallagrass stream, and be able to track their movements and get more research. So those are the hands-on experiences I got. You're really getting your foot in the door for stuff that's still ongoing.
Fantastic. And Ethan, did you have a favorite experience that we haven't spoken about yet, or was one of your favorite experiences something that we discussed?
The one we just discussed was hands down my favorite, so.
Sounded fun. Wonderful. Well, I will open it up for any questions that we might have right now. And if we don't have any, I'd love to thank our panelists and our students, alumni, and faculty for joining us. The admissions office is very grateful, and I know our attendees are as well. I hope they got all their questions answered. And did you guys have any last minute tidbits to add for our future students? No? All right. Well,
I would like to just point out that it is a small town. Fort Kent is a small town, but the university really brings a vibrancy to the whole community that both I know the community appreciates, and the university benefits from being in this small town where it's very safe. I've lived in a lot of places, and this is one of the few places I've ever felt like I could walk alone outside and in the dark and without any worries whatsoever. It's the safety aspect and the low cost of living is just pretty amazing, I have to say.
how friendly everybody is. Like you said, the community really embraces the students. It's like, oh, you go to the university, and they, next thing you know, you leave the grocery store with a friend, and or at least an acquaintance that you now recognize, and they know you. So it's really it's amazing how the community just loves the students, and if they see someone they don't know, it's kind of like, oh, who's that? Like, I gotta get to know them. As someone who's new to the community, I've had a few interactions where people are like, you're not from here, what's your story? So I feel like everywhere I go, I leave with a new friend, and everyone's just so welcoming. So our students are going to be in good hands. Parents, don't worry, your children will be in good hands. And those small class sizes as well on campus are just another way of knowing that your children and that you, the student, are getting a really great education, personalized and individualized. So when it comes to if you're struggling with something, or if you just want someone to talk to, professors like Professor Epp are always there to listen to their students, right guys?
Right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me, guys. We're so grateful, like I said, and I know our students, if they need to reach out, I'm sure you all would be willing to speak to any UMFK future Bengal, and I'll be able to pass that along if a student reaches out. All right. Well, enjoy your Saturdays, and thank you for joining us, and I'll see you around campus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.